What's up, everybody? It's your boy Justin Rodriguez, your favorite lender here at Neighborhood Loans, and we are back with another episode of Cafecito Talks, the #1 podcast on entrepreneurship, and I have an exciting guest. One of the smoothest, cleanest agents on the game, man. I'm telling you guys, he has an amazing story from, just coming from the bottom, rising up to the top in every single industry that he's in, guys. So I want to present to you Greg Morales over there at Duarte Realty Company.
What's up, Justin? Thank you for having me, man. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm a little nervous. This is my first podcast, but I'm excited to be here more than anything, and hopefully inspire someone, man.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. And one thing that gravitates towards you is just how clean everything is, bro. Everything from social media, everything is very kind of aligned, and it gravitated towards you from the beginning, from the start. So kudos to you. I love the way that you present yourself and everything that you've told me. We've developed a pretty close relationship over the last couple of years that we've been working together. So kudos to you. Thank you so much. I love your story. So the first thing I want to touch base on is your story, bro, because I think a lot of people would kind of gravitate towards that because within our industry, bro, I know it's really hard to just grow, right? And I think your story is the definition of growth. So give us a little insight. How did you grow? How did you get into the industry, and what's your background?
Yeah. So I didn't get into the industry at a young age. I actually started like many people, right? I did college, did my career. I actually started working for a credit union. So I'm not sure you're familiar with what a credit union is, but essentially it's almost like a bank. It's just that they don't have shareholders, right? The members or account holders are the owners of the credit union. So that's what I started working at. I was, you can kind of compare it to as a personal banker. So I was a personal banker there. From there, I left that particular credit union and went to another credit union along with the CEO of that new credit union. He wanted me to help him, start up this new credit union. So we're literally starting a business from the ground up. I was there, bro. So I was there through the phase of like construction. So like the new office space, the marketing, getting in the business. So, I had to bring in the business, right, to get the business running. So I was doing the lending for them. So it wasn't like mortgage lending. It was just like auto loans, credit cards, home equity lines of credit. So like the consumer-based loans, that's what I was doing. And then from there, during that point, me and my wife ended up buying our first home. So when we bought our first home, it kind of piqued that interest. Like, man, if this lady can do my mortgage, or if this gentleman can help me with looking for my home, like I can do that too. Like it caught my eye. But to be honest with you, and I should have done my homework prior, or maybe or who knows, maybe this was just part of life, but I think I should have figured out what I wanted or what suited me better, right? Mortgages or real estate. I ended up going to the mortgage industry. I personally feel that I wasn't successful, but it's okay. It's okay because it led me here where I am today. It was there that, I did the open houses. I did the, consultations, but it was at the open houses where I realized like, man, I like this. I like doing this. I would hear my peers, like the business partners, I should say, their stories about showing homes and things like that. And I caught on and I said, man, I think that's more of my forte. Yeah. So eventually, obviously, I decided, hey, you know what? Along with other things in life, I decided, hey, you know what? This is a better fit for me. I'll leave it in God's hands. And if this is meant for me, I remember praying, actually. I said, God, if this is for me, please, show me the way. And I'm putting all my trust in you. And then here we are, brother. Here we are, working hard, man. And I love it. Love it.
Well, there's two major things that I want to point out. Number one, mortgages. That get you some gray hair. Just like run, go. I'm gone. Yeah. It's definitely a hard business. So give us your experience in that industry.
Yeah. It's not easy, man. And I mean, firsthand. I mean, look at the volume that you're producing and the transactions that you're doing, and that's very impressive, bro. Because it's like, man, it's not easy. It's not easy. You deal with all types of emotions, right? You're basically the one that puts it all together, bro. If things fall apart, you have to put it together, and it's all on you. So for me, I mean, the experience, I closed some deals, bro. I didn't do your type of numbers, that's for sure,
Oh,
right?
yeah, bro.
But I closed deals, bro. I build relationships with real estate agents, some whom with which I talked to today. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I closed some deals, but it wasn't for me, bro. It wasn't for me. I'm more of the on the go kind of guy, on the road, showing the homes, looking into the type of properties. That's more of my forte. For me, mortgages was more of like, I don't know. I felt like I was still in the what I was doing prior, right? The credit union, like dealing with numbers and it just wasn't for me, bro. It
Yeah.
just wasn't for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
And what do you? I heard something right there. Like you said, a lot of life changes happen in order for you to change into real estate. So what were the things that kind of switched up in your life for you to change?
Yeah, man. So obviously, I guess to give you a little background about me, right? So I went to Roberto Clemente High School. Um, at that time, I mean, that high school, it was rough, man. It was rough. I nearly I got into trouble a few times, but I did my best to stay away from the bad influences and whatnot. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I didn't really have that guidance, bro. I didn't have that guidance, right? Up until like college, I think is when I started working for the credit union, where I received that mentorship, so to speak. I didn't have that before. So real estate, financial literacy, I didn't know any of that. I didn't even know that that was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
as dumb as it sounds, but man, I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate. I didn't know that was a thing. But so graduated high school. Honestly, school wasn't for me, bro. But I still went to college. I got my bachelor's degree. Went into into my field. And yeah, like I said, it wasn't until I bought my home that it piqued some interest. So during the time that I was doing mortgages, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I was at a very low point in my life. And what I mean by that is I was going through like some severe anxiety and depression, and it was tough, man. It was tough. I didn't even know that I had it. It was my wife that kind of brought it to my attention. She said, "Hey, look, man. Um, I really don't like to share these kind of things, but I feel like I need to. If there's somebody out there that can kind of get inspired and maybe realize that you could get out of these things, like, then I hope that this is it." But anyways, I was drinking a lot. Right, I was drinking a lot. I wanted to sleep, bro. I just wanted to sleep, and I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't happy with my career. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. Just period. Right. And I remember one day I got up, man, and I looked in the mirror, and I wasn't happy with what I saw, man. I was overweight, so I think I gained 30 pounds. I was eating like crap. I wasn't exercising. And it was that when I looked at myself, and my wife told me, like, she pretty much told me, like, dude, like, you got to get your shit together. Like, what's wrong with you? I think that kind of triggered something in me and said, hey, look, not to mention, man, I had just had my baby, my first baby. And my thing is, I don't want her to see me like this. She doesn't deserve to see me like this. And most importantly, I don't deserve to feel and to feel like this, right? So I got into the gym, and I know a lot of you guys that follow me. I post a lot. That's my therapy. That's my therapy. So that's my me time. But anyways, I'm sorry, bro. I'm gonna get off track a
You're
lot.
good. No.
I'm
That's
gonna
good.
get off
That's
track a
perfect.
lot.
You're
But
good. Yeah.
so I forgot what you asked me, bro.
No, you're good. You're good. That was actually a
Yeah.
really good story, and we'll kind of divert
Yeah.
from exactly what that is, because one thing
Yeah.
I love about it, I think the stresses and anxiety of our industry, and
Yeah.
that's something that no one really dives into.
Right.
Day by day we go through situations where I almost feel like this job has a never-ending feeling of, are you doing enough? like that. And I feel like you're
Yes.
consistently always going to feel that because you're only as good as your last month.
Right.
Right. So you're always on the go making sure, okay, I did really good last month, but now this month you have no deals. You're like, oh shit, like what do I need to do next? Did I do enough? Am I doing enough? And on a consistent basis, you're doing that. And to put on top of that, the stress and anxiety of having a kid.
Right.
Right. And the stress and anxiety of being the man of the household, being the one that's holding down, being the rock. So I want to dive into that, bro. Like,
Sure.
I feel like there's so many people that want to express emotion on this and they don't, because obviously they, for whatever reason within our culture, you know, it's just hide your emotions, you know, just move forward every day, and everything will line up after that.
Right.
So I want to touch base on that because I feel like it is super important for us to speak up upon something that's super important, you know, and making sure that everybody realizes, you know, we got our struggles, we got our trials and tribulations, and but there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
There is.
You know?
There is. And you know, man, in the Hispanic family or communities, you know, it's frowned upon, right? And we don't really talk about our feelings. I know I never really talked about my feelings. It wasn't up until I got married and my wife kind of pushed me to talk about my feelings. But like I said, I didn't even know that I was going through depression and severe anxiety. But you know what? They say that a lot of, and the thing is, a lot of men don't want to talk about it because we think it's a sign of weakness. But I think it's a sign of strength, man. If you can actually acknowledge it, talk about it, and you know, just put it out there, like I think that's a sign of strength, man. And to be honest with you, when I started speaking about it, like it made me feel better, man. Like I got it off my chest and I say, hey, you know what? Yes, I'm dealing with these tribulations in my life, but I'm gonna do something about it to change and hopefully inspire others. With that, I got up one day and I said, hey man, I need to snap out of it, right? Not just for me, but for my daughter, for my family. Like they don't deserve this. They don't deserve to see me like this. So I snapped out of it, man. I started working out, you know, started getting up early, go to the gym, started eating better, and just started being a better father, a better person, a better husband. I'm not perfect. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I'm perfect. I'm far from it, but you better believe that I'm doing my best to try to be perfect for my family, like for my daughter, for my wife, and for my daughters, I should say, because I have two now.
Congrats on that. Congrats on that.
Brother. But yeah, I think that it's something that we don't really talk about, and I think that we should talk about, right? Especially in our industry. I think that there's a lot of stress that goes on, right? Especially in your line, man. I mean, I know firsthand what that's like. You know firsthand what that's like, and it's something that we don't talk about. And sometimes when we have a stressful day, what do we usually go to? Liquor, bro.
Liquor,
So,
yeah.
you know, if we can change that and kind of talk about our feelings, I think that, you know, we'll be better people, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, similar to you, bro. I mean, getting in this industry, I never knew what those trials and tribulations were. I'm a very competitive person, right? So I love being every single day, the hustle, the grind, the grit. I love that. But also, at the same time, I'm a very reserved person. So I'm similar to you. When I had issues, it was something that I learned to give back to the people that I love and really open up. You know, with my girl, I was like, yo, this is what I'm feeling, this one. And you have to be honest with yourself, because those things that you're going through are not going to get done by just you sitting at home, you drinking, you doing things. They're just going to continue to build up and then make the people that you love more miserable.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's what happened to me, man. I bottled up. I bottled it all up. I bottled it all up, and it finally came to a point where, like, you know, I couldn't handle it anymore. I just had to, like, say something, like, just speak up about it. And I'm glad that I did, bro, because I think I've shared maybe a little bit of my story with regards to anxiety and depression on my social media. And from that, I've gotten family members that have reached out to me, you know, even friends, bro, that have reached out to me and kind of, you know, told me like, hey, you know, I felt that way, and I know where you're coming from, and, you know, I like that you're putting that energy in the gym, and I want to do that too. Or, hey, how did you overcome this? And to me, it's like, man, that means a lot to me, because if I can help somebody by sharing my experience, I want to be able to do that, especially with, you know, the things that we're seeing on TV and with people in general, bro, with like people that commit suicide and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I can stop somebody from doing that, you know, I hope that, you know, I would hope that I can just by sharing my story.
Right.
So yeah, man, it's a tough subject, but you know, I'm glad that I acknowledged it, man. That I
Right.
had depression, that I was going through it, and that I found the things that I needed to do, or I found the therapy to be able to overcome it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then let me ask you, because it's really easy to go day by day. You know, another day. I always say another day, another dollar. That's my thing. You know,
Yeah.
I always, every time I pick up the phone,
Yeah.
that's the first thing I say. But the reason why I say that is it's really easy to get trapped into the life cycle. Right. Wake up. If you go to the gym, wake up, go to the gym, or wake up, eat breakfast, go to work. Right. Wake up, go to work. Wake up, go to work. Like it's a cycle every single day. And after 10 years, 20 years, it becomes repetition, and you almost get lost within the cycle.
Right.
How did you get out of the cycle and put your mind in a state where you're like, I'm going to work on myself? And how do you recommend someone who is stuck in a cycle to be like, yo, is it just like going one day out the week, or doing little things and to grow outside of just your work life?
Yeah. So one of the things that I did, man, was start my day with gratitude, bro. I think gratitude, just grateful for everything that you do have in life. That's how I start my day, with gratitude, right? So I'll pray in the morning, you know, I pray. But to answer your question, what I started doing was, okay, you know, I knew that I had to do it, man. Nobody was gonna help me but me. I had to get myself out of it. Yeah, you can get therapy, absolutely, if you can get it, or maybe a hobby or whatever you can do to get you out of that. But for me, it was the gym. So what I did was I started slow, right? I would go one day out of the week, and I didn't start like my early mornings like you see me going to the gym early now.
Yeah.
I started at like, you know, I first started working out at nights.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I was like, hey, you know what? I need to work out in the morning, because if I work out in the morning, I'll feel in a better mood, and then I'll have a even better mood the rest of the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, I started working out at 7 a.m. and then I started pushing it back 6 a.m. And now I'm trying to be at the gym by 5:30. But it's a work in progress. I mean, that's just me. I like to be there early just because there's plenty of equipment available, right? There's nobody there, and it's like I like to be the first one in there and then out. Another thing is I like to finish early. I go home, have breakfast with my family. I usually make the breakfast for my little girl, and then I make breakfast for everyone. So we'll have breakfast together, and then from there, I'll start doing my follow-ups, and then from there, if I have to go on showings, I go on showings, and then obviously end the night and hopefully see my daughter. I usually see my daughter. I get her ready for bed and then put her down for bed. I'm very involved, bro. So I'm very involved. I help. I like to think that I help out a lot. At least I think so.
Yeah.
So
your wife's
so
like, no, he doesn't.
Yeah, no, he does. No, I do. But yeah, bro. I any free time that I do get, give it back to my family. I don't know if that answered your question, and it may be different for everybody, right? Depending on your situation. There's no right or wrong, I guess. There's no right or wrong, and there's no specific timeline that you should follow. I think that everybody has their own journey, and whatever you feel that makes you happy or gives you that sense of peace or whatever makes you feel great, just do it, right? I think that the important thing is that you acknowledge that something's wrong, A, and B, that you do something about it. I always tell my family and friends, hey, look, I know that we haven't talked in a while, but I just want you to know that I'm here. If you ever need anything, and I mean anything, whether it be, you know, you want to talk or anything, like I'm here. Like, don't ever feel like you have nobody to talk to. I try to make it known to everybody that I'm there if you ever need like to talk about anything. Just because, you know, I know what it's like, man. I know what it's like. And sometimes I feel like if nobody offers, you're not going to talk, bro. You're not going to say anything. So I always make it a habit now to let my family, friends, colleagues know if you need anything or if you want to talk, I'm here. Like, I'm all ears. Yeah.
Well, the key thing I take away, routine. You know, creating a routine, creating something to kind of divert your mind away from the trials and tribulations of life, because there's always going to be trials and tribulations, you know.
Right.
So the one thing that I took out of that, man, is just kind of create the routine, but always remember there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yep.
You're going to have those dark tunnels that you're going to approach, and you have to go through it.
Yeah.
And I always say this, that's something that I'm scared of, you know, to get into that mental state of mind where you're, because I'm a very positive person, bro. I love to be positive energy, positivity to anybody. I always want to have people to attract to me because they're like, he has a positive energy, right?
For sure.
And I've always wanted to be that.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the point where you're mentally not in a positive light, how do you still bring forth that positive energy even though you're in a dark place mentally, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something that I struggle with myself, right? Trying to, you know, when I guess I'm always thinking 5 steps ahead, right? So I'm already preparing for the dark times when I'm in a good time. You know, it's kind of weird how my mind.
And it's kind of hard, bro, because you can never really prepare for that.
Yeah.
You really can't. I never went through that, and I never want to go through that again. And like I told you, I didn't even know that I was going through that until my wife told me, "Hey, look, dude, you're going through it." I didn't believe it. I was, no, like there's no way. I'm just having a bad day. She's like, really? For weeks?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I think you can never prepare for it, but if you do go through it, it's okay, man. It's okay. Like you said, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm pretty sure you have family members, friends, and anybody colleagues that are willing to listen to you and help you through those tribulations. You're never alone, bro, and I want to make that clear to anybody that's listening. You're never alone. We're there for you, and you may not know me, but I hope that you know that my story kind of shed some light if you're going through it.
Well, let me ask you, since obviously family, friends, and everybody's so important, how important was it for you to have a partner in these situations, and was she the reason why you were able to overcome it, or was it like a multitude of things that kind of able to get over the hump?
Oh yeah, she was the reason. She was the reason. My daughter was the reason, right? Like I told you, she kind of made me open up because I bottled a lot of my feelings. Sometimes I catch myself doing it where it's like, you know, I don't want to talk, like just let me be. But she kind of made me open up to it, right? And then just the fact that I have my daughter, my first daughter at the time, she's and those of you, and you know me, those of you that know me closely know that my daughters are like my world, bro. They're my everything. So I need to be a better person for them, but most importantly, I need to be a better person for me, because if I'm not a better person for me, then I can't be a better person for them. So yeah, I believe that my family, they were a big part. They were a big part of me overcoming this. Yeah, bro, I love them. That's just what it is.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome, you know. And I think the one most important asset that we have in life is time, right?
Yes, sir.
Something that we spend, but we don't have unlimited amounts of it,
Yeah.
right? So how do you value your time, right?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell everybody right now, the things that I'm doing, right, in the industry, I have no idea if I would be able to do it with a family around me, because there's so many things that come around with having kids, having a family. So how do you value your time, and how do you kind of create time for your family?
That's a tough question, brother, because you know it's difficult in our industry, both the mortgage industry and the real estate industry. But I'm starting to be a little more organized in the sense that I kind of prioritize, right? So another reason why I do go early in the gym is so that, you know, I can do get the workout in early in the morning, have breakfast with my family, and go about my day. But I prioritize, man. So gym, breakfast with family, follow-ups, showings, so on and so forth. But I at least try to carve out or block out some time for my family, right? Whether that be an afternoon, an evening. I always have to block out that time every day. And I'm still working on that. I haven't perfected it yet. It's a little difficult. So if there's anybody out there with kids that's killing it in the real estate game and you can give me any feedback, I love constructive feedback.
Same,
I
man.
love advice. I love hearing from others in the industry that, you know, can relate and can provide me that feedback. So I'm all ears, but trying to basically carve out a time every day, bro. Because if we don't block that time, then time blocking. If we don't time block, then, you know, your day's going to be like all over the place. I I try to prioritize, man. I try to prioritize my activities. So I do like to go to trainings, right? Anything that I can do to better serve my clients and for me to be a better realtor, I'll go to it. Networking events, that's big in our industry. I would love to go to all of them, but I can't, man. I can't because at the end of the day, I have a family at home, and any free time that I do get, like I told you before, I try to give it back to them. But I'm trying to get a little better at that. Once I figure out, how to juggle everything, I
Yeah.
would love to attend more networking events. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I that's something I struggle in. Like that's my heart. I think that's my biggest flaw. Truly, I do think that's my biggest flaw. One thing that the owner of my company actually told me when I first got into industry, before I was even really doing it, he was kind of training me
Right.
and giving me some insight that things that I could potentially learn from and grow from. And he said, prioritize your personal life first, and then work your work calendar around your personal life. And when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, it's such a good idea, bro. I'm applying this tomorrow." Never applied it. Never applied it. So
Yeah.
I do need to be a lot better with that, And I think that for me, I'm in a weird state in my life, right? I feel like I prioritize work, but I'm not prioritizing work because that's my number one priority. I prioritize work because I'm ready to give. I want to give back to my family. So it's almost my family's first, but my work is first because I want to get back to my family. So it's like kind of one of those things where it's like, I cherish my family very much so like you. And I think that's why I always gravitate towards you. I feel like you're almost like an older role model to me in the industry.
I'm not that old, bro.
You're older than me, you're not old, but you're just someone that I love the image, bro. I love that family oriented image,
Yeah.
I'm mad at me
I'm
feel.
just messing with you.
No, but I want to shed light on your successes, bro. Obviously, it's apparent to everybody, bro. You're killing it. You're killing it in the real estate game, man. You've just grown, and I don't think there's many people that have seen both sides of the industry like you have. And not just that, but I feel like people that jump around in the industry get out, and they're not very successful at it. You've jumped from LO to realtor, and it killed it in both sectors, right? So how do you feel the transition, like if you had to take a look at a grand scope of things? Because there are some people out there that are like, they may see my post and they may see your post and they're like, okay, do I want to be a realtor or do I want to be a LO? What side is more beneficial? So if you had to compare and contrast both industries, what would you say the differences are? And then which one do you feel really like impacted your life more?
Yeah. So obviously, although similar industries, very different, right? Mortgages. So I think for those of you watching and are maybe thinking of joining either the mortgage industry or the real estate industry, I say do your due diligence, right? Get a feel for what each has to offer, and decide based on what you see, right? And what I mean by that is, my intentions. Obviously, the money's gonna come with either or, right? But that was never my what can I say? How do I want to say this? That was never my drive. No, for me it was like I always knew that I wanted to serve others. I just didn't know how. I early on, like even when I was a kid, I always knew that I wanted to help others. I just didn't know like how. Um, so I knew that already, and you can do that with both, right? But I think that for me personally, the idea of going from neighborhoods to neighborhoods, looking at properties, right? Showing your clients the what's out there, and just getting a scope for what truly is out there,
Yeah.
right? Because for a point in my life, I was just Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. That's all I knew. Then I started learning about these other suburbs, neighborhoods, and I'm like, wow, like I didn't know that this was here.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
this is crazy. So if you're okay with being on the road, obviously both industries are 100% commission. You don't close a deal, then you just have to keep that in mind. But what are your intentions, right? What are your intentions, right? Just make sure that you're cognizant of that, because if you're joining the industry because you saw $1 million listing and you think that you're going to do that in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, then you're in for a rude awakening. That's not how it works. That's just not how it works.
Get your first lead. Man.
Yeah. Right. So just see what fits you best with your personality, with what you like to do. I enjoy real estate, bro. I love it. I couldn't say that about the mortgage business. That's when I knew, like, okay, this is not for me.
But what didn't you like?
I don't know, man. It just wasn't for me. I think I didn't like dealing with the structuring of files, especially when they got very difficult.
Yeah.
Especially when they got very difficult. I think I didn't like that, and I didn't like when attorneys would hound you down, like, "Hey, what's going on? What's the status?" You had all part. You basically have everyone on your behind, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think that was the other one, and it still happens on my side, but it's just I don't know. I feel like it's not as stressful.
Yeah. I think the reason why it's super stressful is because we handle more transactions usually
Yeah.
we handle more transactions. So let's say
Yeah.
you guys handle 3, we probably handle 6, right?
Right.
So, and you think about it, you got the agent calling you, the seller's agent calling you, the or the seller's attorney calling you, the buyer's attorney
That's
calling
right.
you, the borrower calling you. So you got 5 different people, and if you have 6 transactions,
Right.
that's so many different things,
Yeah.
people that might be reaching out to you. So that's
Right.
what could get, yes, that could get very frustrating.
Yeah, but I'm actually glad that I started in the mortgage business because I think I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to like loans, programs, like the credit. And prior to joining the mortgage business, I was doing I was in the
Credit
credit
union.
union. So what I was also doing there is I was helping people build credit. So I was helping build people build credit. I was looking at, income, debt to income ratio, very similar,
Yeah.
very similar. So I'm very, very familiar with all that. And I believe that helped me a lot and is helping me a lot now that I'm in the real estate industry because I don't bug you as much, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I
Yeah.
already know like a lot. So, but of course, I stay in my lane, and you know that.
Yeah,
Although
yeah.
I do know some mortgage things, I always stay in my lane. I let you do your magic, bro. I never get involved in that anymore.
Yeah. So how do you feel though, like as a realtor? How do you deal with? Because I know if I was a realtor, I think this is something that would be like, okay. Same thing with kind of for us as insurance agent and title companies. How do you deal with 100 lenders hitting you up in a day? Like what do you guys as agents do, and how do you prioritize who you meet up with, and things like that?
That's a difficult question, man, because I haven't figured that out yet. I personally, man, am, and I think you know me, man. I'm very nice, bro. I'm very courteous, and I feel bad when I don't respond to some of these lenders. I almost feel like I need to pick up and say, "Hey, I'm sorry," like
Yeah.
apologize, like, "Hey, I'm sorry. Fortunately, I'm not interested right now," and that's probably what I should be doing, right? If I already have my group of lenders that I work with closely, um, so work in progress, man. But
Yeah.
and I think I mean, you started messaging me early on, but I was never rude, man. I was
Yeah.
always
No.
very nice and hey, thank you for reaching out. Da 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 da. But uh, yeah, I mean, recently actually, I've been getting a lot of messages, man,
Yeah.
from a lot of people in the industry, and not just lenders. I'm talking about like insurance
Insurance.
agents
Yeah.
and life insurance people, and it's like once they see that you're producing, you're gonna get a lot of that. Uh, but I am not sure, man. I don't know if I have the answer to that just yet. So if anybody has a way of nicely declining not business, declining relationship, let me know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a tough part of the industry.
Yeah,
I'm the same way. I'm a very nice person. I don't like to kind of
yeah, I'm
obviously
not.
decline people and things of that nature. But it's a part of the business,
Yeah.
right? And
And I
that's
think a lot of it stems from when I was in the mortgage business, I would hit up realtors too. So I know what that's like.
yeah,
And I think I told you this when you reached out to me and I saw that you were newer in the business. My thought process was like, hey man, I remember when I started that, let me give him a shot. So,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how we started working.
That's cool, man. Well, what do you think? Since obviously this year, 2022, is very successful for you, bro. So obviously you did have a good year. What do you see yourself for next or for this year, and then for the next 5 years? What are those plans looking like for the future?
Yeah, man. My plan for the future, I guess for the next 5 years, eventually I want to bring in a transaction coordinator just because a lot of what we do is there's a lot of administrative work, man, writing the contracts. Sometimes I'm at showings and I have somebody that says, hey, I want to put in an offer. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me just finish up a showing. And, you know, but having that transaction coordinator can help me alleviate some of that stuff, right?
Hmm.
So, like, have them write the contracts or the offers. But down the line is having a transaction coordinator and maybe possibly a buyer's agent
Hmm.
so that I can be more efficient, right? have a better system in place just to be more efficient, bro. I don't want. I feel that right now I can handle it, right, while providing good service, but I don't want to get to a point where it's too much and I'm not providing the service that I know that I can provide. So I never want to let my clients down. So yeah, down the line, transaction coordinator and buyer's agent. We'll see.
Everybody watching, he's looking to expand his team. So if you want to work with him,
we're taking resumes now.
no, that's awesome, man. I absolutely love the company you work for. You guys have one of the cleanest marketing that I've seen. And you know me, I love marketing. I love me some social media. I love me just kind of posting on the daily. So what are you guys' insights? I know you guys are very like on a strict regimen, like very neutral colors, very like to the T. Like if you see Duarte, you know their page. You guys know how you guys work and what you guys post. So do you guys all correlate that together, or is it one of those things where?
Yeah, I think you just said it. You just answered it, man. I think I don't know exactly, what their vision is, but I do know that we wanna we wanna keep the brand like consistent throughout the office, so that when you think of Duarte, you think of the colors, you think of the brand in itself. I really can't answer too much for that in regards to that because I don't know like what their vision is, but it's working.
No, yeah, it's cool, bro. It's cool.
It's working.
Imagery and everything. I feel like
Yeah.
everything you guys post is with a purpose. But for you, how important do you think branding is in order for you to expand and grow your business?
Oh, it's very important, man. I think that obviously every brokerage is going to have their branding, uh, but at the end of the day, you also have to kind of brand yourself, right?
Mm.
So for me, is like when you think of de la gente, who do you think of?
You.
Me, right? So I think that that's one of the things that I did early on, and I'm glad I did
Yeah.
because everywhere I go, they don't even know me by name, dude. They just say, "Hey, oh, there's a la gente de la gente." I think it's kind of funny, but I love it because
Uh-huh.
that's the idea behind it. Um, to brand myself and to be recognized as that because I stand behind that slogan. I truly mean it, and I believe that my clients know it. My actions, speak loud when I represent my clients. So I truly believe that that is my motto, and I stand 100% behind it. I mean, you know me. I've helped some of your clients. I would hope that
Yeah,
they
nothing but great
express
things.
good things about me. So that's always the end goal, man. That was always my goal joining in this industry. To serve others, bro. To serve others with honesty, integrity. Um, I wish I was in the industry when my parents bought their home prior to the market crashing. Um, they went through a rough time, and that's a whole different story. But I don't believe that they were helped with honesty. So I think that's another reason why um, I got into this industry and why I chose the slogan to help our gente. You know.
We'll dive into that because I think a lot of people who in 2008, a lot of people were misconstrued and just put in a home that maybe they didn't afford, or a lot of different things were happening in 2008. So for your family, obviously they were affected, and then do you feel like that was one of your main missions when you got into the industry? And like, how do you feel like the real estate industry has changed ever since all those things occurred?
Oh yeah, man, that was a big drive for me because a lot of the families that I have helped are Hispanic, right? Hispanic, and I'm happy to help everyone, bro. It doesn't have to be Hispanic necessarily, but I guess what I'm trying to say is always serving these clients with good intentions. I always have good intentions, always putting their interests at heart, treating them like they were my very own family. But yeah, that was part of the reason why I joined the industry. And the other was just being able to educate folks, right? Educate people. Me having the advantage that I know the mortgage industry, and just better educating them on how to make smart decisions so that they don't put themselves in a situation like that. Things are different though now. I mean, you know that guidelines have changed, right? So
Yeah,
at that time
100%.
there weren't any guidelines, or if any. So now there are strict guidelines, and that's why you have to go through the rigorous process of getting a approval on your loan financed. They're not just going to hand out mortgages to people that don't qualify. So obviously, it's very different, and I feel that that's a good thing because you never want to put in people in a situation like what we saw in that time.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think that for you, at least, do you feel like you want to, and I know time is probably one of the most valuable things that you can have. Do you want to be a top producer like 100 mil? Or would you be prefer to be like, okay, I'm going to live where I feel comfortable. Once I hit that amount that I feel comfortable, I'm going to let it ride.
That's a great question, man. When I dove into the industry, I don't think I ever thought of hitting like those kind of numbers, like 100 mil. If it happens, great. But if I do get to that point, I definitely need to have, based on what I've heard from other successful real estate agents that are making those kind of numbers, is I better have like a nice, not just a team, but some nice processes in place to make that happen while still having a life. Because can you imagine, man, if you try to do those type of numbers and you don't have systems in place to have everything flow smoothly, like you drive yourself crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I would not have a life, bro. I could not imagine doing that. Those type of numbers, at least within real estate, bro. Even last year, I mean, I felt like the first and second quarter were my busiest seasons, and then third and fourth slowed down. But the first and second quarter, it was actually, it was very good, very productive. But I found it very hard to have, a lot of time for myself at some points. Not more so because I think it's because I love the industry, and I think one thing we gotta talk about is boundaries, bro. Like I feel like it's hard to create boundaries within this industry. Like I pick up the phone at 9:00 at night every freaking night. I don't care because that's just how I perceive my business. It's my baby, but it does drive you crazy at some point. You're like, okay, another phone call. What's next? Okay, I'll just pick up one more phone call. I'll just do this. I'll do that. When we're not brain surgeons.
Yeah.
So at what point did you create a boundary, or do you even have boundaries within your business for yourself?
Work in progress. I'm not gonna tell you that I've set them yet. It's a work in progress, but I did have someone tell me, and I don't remember if this was a real estate agent or a mortgage professional, but they basically told me, "Hey, look, man, if your phone rings after hours, right? I don't think there's an emergency in real estate that needs your immediate attention. Like, I don't think there's that type. I don't think it's something that urgent that requires you to pick up the phone at like 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. Like, there's nothing that everything's closed, bro. Offices are closed. Title companies are closed. Mortgage companies, except Justin, they're closed, right? So that it's true though, but it's a work in progress, man. It's a work in progress. I'm working on that. I don't want to say that I've perfected that because I'd be lying. Again, anybody out there that's listening that has that figured out, let us know. I'm pretty sure me and you would
struggle with it, man.
Benefit from it.
I struggle with that because honestly, I love my business, and it's my baby, right? I grew up, and every single time in life, I had something new, right? Played college and baseball. That was my baby. Yep. Then I graduated college. Then I was like, okay, what's next? I didn't know what's next. And then I finally got this business, and I'm like, okay, this is my baby. I'm gonna cherish it. So now it's like, if I don't call my clients at 9 o'clock, I failed them. I failed my referral partner. Or I think that's the layers that I do think is one of the hardest to get over as a loan officer. Is not only do you, if you don't pick up the phone at 9 o'clock, not only do you fail the client, but then you fail the referral partner as well. You're like, oh shit, they're gonna be pissed off. I didn't pick up the phone, or they're gonna complain to the referral partner. Now they're not gonna refer me. So
I think a lot of it is in the mind, bro.
Yeah.
I think because I think you've made a comment like that to me where it's like, well, dude, I'm so sorry that I didn't call you. I'm like, dude, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, and 9 times 10, it's okay, bro. I think it's all in the mind. But I get where you're coming from. There are times where I have slow times, and I'm like, okay, I need to do something because I should not just be having all this much free time. I think that's in our blood, bro.
Yeah, it's anxiety. What's next? What are we doing?
What's next? Oh my god, yeah. I'm always on the go too, so I can relate, and I'm working on that, man. I'm working on being better at that.
Yeah, I think the stress and anxiety though is what causes people to be successful in some ways. I do think it could drive you crazy, But if you learn to control it, if you learn to obviously do things like the gym, do things that allow you to distract your mind away from the stress and anxiety and channel it into your business, then you're going to grow, right? Because I think you lose. You lose once you become complacent. Once you're like, okay, I'm doing 5 deals a month, I'm cool, right? You lose once you become complacent. So I want to live my life like I'm broke. Every single day, I want to act like I'm paycheck to paycheck, just because I want to continue to grow. So that way, at one point in time, I don't even have to work, right? So I always wanted to kind of live this lifestyle where, I know that my family grew up and, in every situation, they grew up to become who they are, right? My grandparents came from nothing. All right, my parents obviously built something from that nothing, and then my job is to keep building that for the next generations to come. But once you get into the industry, right, and then you feel like, okay, I'm cool, and you start coasting, that's when it's almost like a piggy bank. Like, you're going to get the deals, and then after month 6, you're like, wait, where are the deals? And then you don't know where your paychecks are because you're not doing the things that you were doing 6 months ago, So that's something that I do think is so important. But I'm going to finish with this, okay? If you had to give one piece of advice to a young entrepreneur, that whether it's real estate, whether it's lending, whatever the situation might be, because you kind of got an experience from a startup, loan officer, mortgage business, or a real estate business, you got a little bit piece of everything. What would you give them in order to succeed in any industry that they're looking to?
I would say this. Hey, look, there's no timeline, right? That's the first thing. I had to get that out of my head, man. I was always big on like, oh, by this age I need to be here, by this age I need to be here, by this age I need to do this. I was killing myself, man, because sometimes I wouldn't meet the deadline in my mind, right? There is no timeline, and it's okay if you don't have it figured out right away. It's okay, right? What I mean by that is try things out, right? I tried a few careers out, and I ended up loving real estate, and I'm doing real estate now. But it's okay if you don't have it figured out right away. Test the water, so to speak, right? And it's okay if you fail at something, right? Just don't give up. Don't give up. Keep trying. Keep searching for whatever it is that your purpose is in this life, and I can guarantee that you're gonna find it, right? I don't know what that is because everybody's situation is different. Everybody's likes and are different, but just don't give up. Just work hard at whatever it is that you do. Work really hard at whatever it is that you do for sure, and everything else will follow.
That's good tips, man. That's a good tips right there. I just want to wrap it up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Greg, for coming by, man. You did absolutely amazing.
Appreciate
And
it.
always and forever, don't forget, gotta have your cafecito on deck. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe. Hope you guys have a good day. Take care.